What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Stuff is getting done. My big pile of bent up bits of doohickeys and whatnot is all being made into hangers. First order is in the van, that's getting dropped up at the post office today. So that's the first one done. I've still got a shed load to make though. I mean like a lot. I can't do any of it because the steel hasn't turned up. Ideal. Supposed to have been here yesterday, so Mrs. Woman on the end of the phone properly got it from me today. I'm not saying I made her cry. I didn't. But she knows I'm very disappointed in her. So anyway, it means I've got a couple of hours free because I've literally done everything else that I can do. I need that steel. So I'm going to have a go at sorting this out. All collar surround is bolted at the top, as you know. And it's got like rubbers behind it and all that stuff, so that's all fine. However, it does need to be mounted at the bottom because in a minute it can pivot there. It's sort of where it needs to be, I think. About like that. But I need some sort of something down here, brackets. So I have got a piece of round bar. Don't know how wide it is, but it's wide enough. Piece of tube and two bent bits of tube. And I reckon we're in here. So what I'm gonna do, I'll show you as we go along, but basically I'm gonna have a bit of that off. And I'm gonna have a bit of that off. So basically it kind of, it's gonna go on like that sort of thing. So this bit's not there and all that bit's not there. It's gonna be like that. This bit is gonna get welded onto the frame. So I've got something to do the mounts to. And then with this, I just need to machine up like a couple of bungs, which I can plug weld on the underside of this, which then goes into a thread. So the shoulder ain't got to be very deep at all. It's just enough, you know, spread the load a little bit, because that's just sheet steel. So spread the load a little bit there, plug weld it from the top, and then we'll just have a thread, and that will go through here. And we can have rubbers top and bottom, little bit of thread sticking out the bottom, stick a washer on it and a dome head, and that's it, job sorted. And it will look quite good. I was gonna do like a real simple, straightforward, just like bit of angle and this, that and that, but I don't like the idea of that. If you go into all this trouble, you might as well do a nice looking one. So that's what we're gonna do. I've just got to figure out my lengths and stuff. Get chopping stuff up and see if I can make it work, but it should be all right. It should be fine. And we just need to get some rubbers to go in here to cushion it, one top, one bottom, and we're in. Right, Sharpie. Cool, okay, they're chopped out. I know this isn't a biggie. I know it's a simple thing, but it needs doing. And I'm still cherry picking things to do because I've got me work. Right, so we'll have a couple of spaces on there just to keep that flat. My flat is currently going through the citric acid bath at the minute. It's all covered in nasty. So, it's all getting cleaned up and everything else at the minute, and it'll all come back spick and span. Right, okay. So if he goes on there, this block is square. So I can get him on there, push him down to the spacer, and that'll be him in the middle of the tube. So we can tack that on there. And then obviously I'll cut this down to the right length I want. I'd rather tack it in place when stuff is long and then trim it down, because you know, it's easier to check and see if something's square, if it's long, whereas if you just got a little bit like that, for example, you know, it's not as easy to tell if it's square or not. So that'll go. I can clamp it that way, so it's all nice and true. Zap it with the welder. Job's a good one. Right, I might just chop that in half. Let me chop that in half. Right then, if anybody says, oh, just dress it up, they make it sound like a 5-minute job. It ain't at all. See, I've still got bits and stuff to do on here, but it's a case of, once I welded it, so you got a nice seam of weld all the way around it, I tend to put on a bit more than I need, because then I've got more than enough to dress down, which I have in this case. And it's a case of die grinder with a very angry end to it. Finger file, I think that's 40 grit on there, so that's quite rough stuff as well. DA, I've got a Dremel up there with like a little stone, similar shape to that, but more canonical. So that's quite good for getting into all the little nadgery bits, but it's, anything you've got, isn't it? I mean, you can do it with a few files and an attitude if you wanted to. It's just, I've got power tools, so I might as well use them, eh? Right, so, where do I want to have that bottom off? Right, probably wants to go quite close to, I would think. About there. Because we're still going to have, so if that's going to be the top of it, pretty much where the weld stops, then we're probably going to have like 4mm of rubber, and then we're going to have the cap that comes down from underneath the cooler. It's probably going to be about there, isn't it? Right, let's chop that off. I'm going to have to change the band over. My poor little bandsaw is having a fit this week. It's not seen as much work as this in a very long time. Right. So they've been both cut off at the same height. So that ain't gonna work, is it? So he's going to want to be somewhere like that. I would say. Right, so I'm thinking snug it up as much as we can. Right, in that case, I'm going to have the bottom off about there. There or closer? No, we'll do it there, because then basically where that little radius finishes, where I've been dressing it in, I'm just going to chomp it off there, and we should be good, I think. Yeah, because you're still going to have 4mm of rubber. That line will obviously be a washer and then a dome head, so it's going to come down to about there. I don't really want to go any lower than that. I want to keep it sort of up but a little bit different. Right, let's chop that off there and see what happens next. I ain't entirely sure how much of this you're going to see. But he's going to want to go on about there, something like that. This is obviously going to be coming up on the inside face of this. I'm not going to chop it down until I've done the peg that goes on the bottom here. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. So it will stand down. We'll have the plug that I'm obviously going to be making to go on the bottom here. That'll be plug welded on from the back. So we're just going to have a little shoulder that comes out to the same width as this. Then there'll be a rubber which will go into this as well. The screw thread will carry on down all the way through another rubber on the bottom, then a washer, and then just a domed nut on the back of it so you can't see the thread. But essentially it's going to look like that. It's just that this bit will obviously be on the inside of the frame tube. I think that'll look all right. Because by the time you get the AN fittings on here as well, they're going to kind of come down to the same level as well. So it's not going to be out of place or out of keeping. And that'll hold it there a treat. It's a lot better than just a straight bit of bar, isn't it? Or like an angle bracket or something. So that's what I'm doing. Right, it is now the following day. Bloody Steele's still not here. That woman is getting it down the phone today, I can tell you that for nothing. She might not have cried yesterday. I'm not sure so much about today. But anyway, I've been thinking about these. And I went back and I've had a look at like a couple of my mates' bikes and stuff like that. I'm just overcomplicating it again. So apparently, deciding to do one thing and then changing your mind and doing something else is a thing these days. That happens a lot on YouTube. So that's what I'm doing. So, I mean, the basic look at everything else ain't going to change, but I don't need to bolt it all in and everything. I just don't. These are just locating pegs at the end of the day. All collar surround is held in place up here by an M8 nut that goes in probably 20 mil. They ain't going anywhere. So all these are there to do is to stop the bottom from flopping about basically, so that just made things massively simple. So what I'm going to do is still going to have a peg that comes out the bottom, and then you know the rubbers that sort of, you get underneath the tank mounts and like seat mounts and stuff. It's like a rubber washer with a bit of a rubber tube coming out of it as well, so it's a bit like a top hat. I'm going to stick one of them in there. The peg will locate in there, so that's all up under there like that. And as it locates, you just bring it back and shove a bolt in. It ain't going anywhere, and it makes it massively simple too. I've got some of these little caps. I use them for some of the products and stuff that I make. So I can shove one of them in the bottom there, just to keep it all neat and tidy. I will put a hole in the bottom of it, just as a bit of a drain hole, just in case any water does get in there. I don't want it rotting out or anything. But that's it, job done. So all I need to do is have that lot off, decide where these are going, space it up, and put these on the frame. It's just so much easier, isn't it? Right. Thing is, this is actually it's only a little job, but it does need to be done. All this stuff needs to be buttoned up, and I want it done whilst the majority of the bike's together, basically. It's just easier. It really is easier. And all these little doodads and stuff need to be done, so we'll just crack on and get it done now, eh? The other thing I'm thinking about having a look at today is the side stand, because we've been monkeying about with the height, and it's been months and months and months since this was on its own two wheels on its side stand. I've got no idea how it's going to sit. Right. These out there. And that is where it wants to go. Out there. Like that. That'll do it. see. You see this? And they're alright, aren't they? Nice and tidy. Yeah. They're all going to get welded, so it don't really matter. Can you hear the wind? Like someone banging on the door trying to get in. I haven't started Matt's thing yet. Lump of brass is still sat there. I'm practicing. I want to get just a little bit better before I have a go at that, because if I cock it up, I'm never going to hear the last of it. So anyway, got the oil cooler surround off, put a couple of holes in here. So essentially these are going to get stuck on there, and I'll just plug weld it from the back in here, and then I can grind all that flat and it'll all be one. So that'll be alright. This is weld through primer on here, but I've took it off because I don't like it. It doesn't arc right or anything. So yeah. Right, so if we line that up, get a couple of tacks on, put the plug weld in, and ground all that flat. That'd be alright, wouldn't it? Right. In these little jobbies, I just kind of slide up under there. Still can't find that one. I just want to get an idea as to where we're going to bring it back to. I think I might chop these down because it's just too long. And clattering on all, so let's chop it down a bit. Right, I've just chopped it down a bit, just to make it a bit easier to get in here. But if I space this down, I don't know, how thick are those rubbers? 3 or 4 mil, something like that. Actually, we could go inside. Oh, I see, that could be quite neat. Oh, I might do that, because I could just bevel out the side of that and get it to fit straight in. So you get a nice amount of weld around it, and it's not, you know, 90 degrees to the 2, so it might be coming in at an angle. But that works. I mean, you ain't even going to see it from the front because the forks are in the way. Steve-O's going to have to run somebody over for them to see these. That's how tucked out the way they are. But, you know, if he ever does run somebody over, I quite like him to go, oh, it's a nice way of mounting in the cooler. Right, so I think I'm going to shove, what, three or 4 washes in there just to space it off. I'll mark this and trim it down. And then we can get that welded on. And jobs are good. cut them both off at the same, wherever they land on the frame, that's where they're getting welded, because I'll just clamp it all up that way. That'll be alright. Yeah, that'll be good. Right, washers. Yeah, 4 washers to do it. Right. Right, this is turning into a right faff. Basically, I can't get the welder over here because the tube bender's in the way. That's all set up and I need to leave it set up and level and everything because I've got more steel coming that I need to bend up into them curly jobbies. But I've coped it all out, as you can see. Still needs dressing up and whatnot, but that's all going to happen once the frame gets done. So if I shove my 4 washers on, they're just acting as the rubber spacer that is going to go on there, and it's just going to sit like that, basically. Something like that. And I've got those little caps that will just go in the end to neaten it all up. But that is how the bottom of the oil cooler is going to be mounted. So, the other one's all done as well. I'm just running out of hands. I can't hold 2 of them. But that is what it's going to look like. So, again, dead simple. It's all tubular and stuff, so it goes with the frame and blah, blah, blah. It's just better than a bent bit of angled bracket that you find on any old bike. We're going to have obviously AN fittings here that will come down, loads of clearance and everything else, but you know, I think it just sort of matches and goes. It's either that or I was going to chop this off at an angle and just plate over it. Not going to do that purely because if any water does get in there, I don't want it to collect. So by having a little cap in here, I can have a discreet hole at the lowest point, just to let anything that does get in there drain out. But it's all going to be pressed into rubber at the top and it'll be hard up against it anyway. So I can't really see much getting in there, but we are not running a front mudguard on this. So, you know, you've got to try and think about these things. But that's it, that's what it's going to be. Right, put back where you belong. I need a bigger shed, that's what I need. I can't move this at all. It has to stay set up as it is because I'm bending all these tubes up. It's all straight and level, it's just a massive pain to get it down and shift it just so I can throw 2 tacks on. Just so I can see what this is going to look like. But anyway, at least you get the gist, eh? Real simple, I know, but you know, it's just going to work and it'll look a little bit different. And it's a real simple way of doing it. Again, you haven't got any fixings on show or anything else like that, which is kind of where we're going with this bike. So I think that's going to work for treat. I just need to get all this lot done, then I can get the welder over and then I can stick them on for real. So at some point, I will mention it in a future video and I will show it to you all welded up and everything else, just so you can see. But that's how I'm fixing the oil cooler, and I've basically got the bits made. I just need to tack them on. It is only going to be tacked on as well because I've got nice, you know, shiny Delcovic exhausts and everything else there. I don't want to get them covered in spatter. So it's just going to get tacked on, so I've got placement, probably top, bottom and one at the back. just to keep it where it needs to be, and then when the whole bike gets stripped down and everything comes off it, then I'll fully weld it along with everything else and dress it up. Job's a good one, but we'll show you in a future video anyway. So that's it. It is only a quick video today. I do appreciate that, but I am having to cherry pick little jobs just because I have to concentrate on getting these hangers built and stuff. That's what keeps the workshop going. So without them, we ain't got this and we ain't got that. That's it, pure and simple. What I do want to do next probably is get the bike off the lift. I've probably got enough space just to get it off. I want to see what it sits like on that side stand, because I think we're going to need to change it about a bit or remake it or do something. But GIXIT hasn't been on its own wheels and its side stand in months, and we've been monkeying about with the heights and everything else, so it is going to be different, and that stand obviously has to be the right length. So that's probably going to be a next little job that I get on with, but we shall see, eh? Anyway, that's where I'll leave it today. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Like I say, I'm sorry it's only a little short one, but there's stuff I need to be cracking on with. I hope you're staying well and keep you safe. We'll see you again next time. Later.